Imagine walking into a room where 95% of everything is invisible. You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't identify it. You can't measure it directly. You can't interact with it in any way that human senses or conventional instruments can detect, yet it controls the movement of every object around you. It shapes the room itself. It determines where everything goes and how everything behaves. That sounds like a supernatural horror story, but according to modern cosmology, that room already exists. It's called the universe. And here's what makes this genuinely disturbing. Not just intellectually interesting, not just academically puzzling, but deeply, fundamentally unsettling. We are not talking about things that are merely far away. We are not talking about phenomena at the edge of the observable universe that we simply haven't reached yet. We are talking about something that is here, right now, passing through you as you watch this, filling the space between your hand and this screen, surrounding every atom of your body at this exact moment, and we have absolutely no idea what it is. Modern science can predict the behavior of black holes with extraordinary precision. We can land probes on distant moons with pinpoint accuracy. We can detect gravitational waves produced by collisions a billion light years away. We have mapped the human genome. We have built particle accelerators that smash protons together and photograph the debris. And yet, 85% of all the matter in the universe remains completely invisible, undetected, and unexplained. Not 85% of some remote corner of the cosmos. 85% of all matter, everywhere, including here. And the deeper scientists investigate dark matter, the stranger reality becomes. Here are 5 disturbing glitches in dark matter that continue to defy modern science. Glitch 5. Galaxies should not exist. Let's start with the observation that first cracked open this mystery. It's 1933. A Swiss astronomer named Fritz Zwicky is studying the Coma Cluster, a massive collection of galaxies roughly 320 million light-years from Earth. He's measuring the velocities of individual galaxies within the cluster, trying to understand how they move relative to each other. And the numbers don't work. The galaxies are moving far too fast. According to the amount of visible matter Zwicky can observe, the gravitational pull holding the cluster together should be nowhere near strong enough to keep it intact at those velocities. By all rights, the cluster should be flying apart. It isn't. Zwicky concludes there must be additional mass he can't see. He calls it dunkle materie, dark matter. And the scientific community largely ignores him for 40 years. Then, in the 1970s, an astronomer named Vera Rubin starts measuring something different. Instead of galaxy clusters, she's measuring the rotation of individual galaxies. Specifically, how fast stars at different distances from the galactic center are orbiting. The expected pattern was well understood. It follows the same logic as our solar system. Planets close to the sun move fast. Planets far from the sun move slow. Mercury screams around the sun in 88 days. Neptune takes 165 years. The further you are from the center of mass, the slower you orbit. It's called Keplerian rotation. It's one of the most tested, most reliable principles in astronomy, and galaxies completely violate it. When Rubin measures the rotation curves of spiral galaxies, stars at the outer edges are moving just as fast as stars near the middle, sometimes faster. This is like discovering that Neptune moves around the sun at the same speed as Mercury. It makes no gravitational sense whatsoever. The only explanation that works is that there is an enormous amount of invisible mass distributed throughout and around these galaxies, not concentrated at the center, spread out in a vast, invisible halo surrounding the entire visible galaxy. This invisible mass generates the gravitational pull that keeps the outer stars anchored. Without it, the galaxy would simply tear itself apart. Every galaxy we've ever examined shows this pattern, every single one. Something invisible is preventing galaxies from tearing themselves apart. Something we cannot see, cannot touch, and cannot identify is holding the entire visible universe together. That was the first glitch. It gets worse. Glitch 4. Gravity detached from matter. For most of the 20th century, dark matter remained a compelling but technically indirect argument. The evidence was strong, but it all came down to gravitational calculations. You couldn't point at dark matter, you could only point at the gravitational effects that seemed to require it. Then, in 2006, something happened that changed everything. Astronomers were studying an object called the Bullet Cluster, actually two galaxy clusters that had collided and passed through each other roughly 150 million years ago. Galaxy cluster collisions are among the most violent events in the universe. When two clusters containing thousands of galaxies, vast clouds of superheated gas, and presumably dark matter all slam together, the aftermath should reveal a great deal about what the components actually are and how they behave. What astronomers found in the Bullet Cluster was, depending on your perspective, either the most compelling evidence for dark matter ever observed, or one of the most disturbing images ever produced by science. Here's what happened during the collision. When the two clusters passed through each other, the visible matter, primarily enormous clouds of hot gas that make up the bulk of ordinary matter in galaxy clusters, slowed down. Gas interacts with gas. When two clouds of superheated plasma collide, they create drag. They push against each other. They slow. They pile up in the middle. But the gravitational mass of the clusters didn't slow down. Using gravitational lensing, a technique that maps where mass is located by observing how gravity bends light from background objects, astronomers could trace where the actual mass of the clusters was located, and it had sailed straight through the collision zone, entirely undisturbed, and continued moving with the galaxies rather than piling up with the gas. The gravity had separated from the ordinary matter. Read that again. The gravity, the measurable, mappable gravitational field, had separated from the visible matter. The mass was in one location. The matter was in another. This should be impossible if ordinary matter is all there is. Gravity comes from mass. Mass comes from matter. They should be inseparable. Unless most of the mass isn't ordinary matter at all. Unless most of the mass is something that doesn't interact with gas, doesn't create drag, doesn't slow down during collisions. Something that simply passes through ordinary matter as if it isn't there. Dark matter. What astronomers had effectively done was photograph the shadow of something completely invisible. They couldn't see it directly, but they could see where it was because its gravity was bending light in the empty space where nothing visible existed. It was like finding footprints with no feet, a shadow with no object casting it, mass detached from matter, gravity floating free of anything visible. That's what the Bullet Cluster showed us, and no alternative explanation has successfully accounted for it. Glitch 3, the greatest cosmic manhunt in history. By the time the Bullet Cluster results were published, the scientific community was largely convinced dark matter exists. The evidence was overwhelming. Galaxy rotation curves, cluster dynamics, gravitational lensing, computer simulations of cosmic structure that only produced realistic universes when dark matter was included. The cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, bearing the precise imprint of dark matter's influence on the early universe. The case was closed on whether dark matter existed. The case was wide open on what dark matter actually was. And so began the greatest cosmic manhunt in scientific history. The leading candidate was a class of hypothetical particles called WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles. The theory was elegant. If dark matter consisted of WIMPs, they would occasionally, very rarely, interact with ordinary matter through the weak nuclear force. Not electromagnetically, not through the strong force, just the weak force and gravity. Almost nothing, but not quite nothing. And if WIMPs existed, extraordinarily sensitive detectors might catch them. So scientists built detectors, not ordinary detectors. To block out interference from cosmic rays and background radiation, these detectors had to be placed deep underground. Laboratories carved into mountains, shafts sunk into abandoned mines, tanks filled with ultra-pure liquid xenon cooled to cryogenic temperatures, shielded by layers of water, lead, and copper, buried under kilometers of rock. The xenon experiment. LUX, Pandax, LZ, CDMS, Cogent, Crest, billions of dollars, decades of work, some of the most sensitive scientific instruments ever constructed, operated by teams of physicists who dedicated their careers to a single question. Has anything shown up? No, nothing. Decades of searching. Experiments progressively more sensitive than anything that came before. Detectors capable of identifying a single WIMP interaction out of quadrillions of background events. Silence. The WIMP parameter space, the range of masses and interaction strengths that WIMPs could theoretically occupy, has been systematically eliminated. Where physicists once had a vast landscape of possibilities, the map has been searched and searched and searched. The territory is shrinking. The most natural WIMP candidates have been ruled out. They aren't there. Or, if they are, they interact so weakly with ordinary matter that they may never be detectable with any technology we can build. Think about what this means. Dark matter leaves gravitational fingerprints across the entire observable universe. It shapes galaxies. It controls cosmic structure. It passes through the Earth right now. Billions of dark matter particles streaming through your body every second, according to the models. And we cannot catch a single one. The suspect has been at the scene of every crime in the universe for 13.8 billion years. Its fingerprints are on everything, and yet it has never once been caught, photographed, or directly identified. Every experiment comes up empty. The criminal leaves evidence everywhere and never appears. Glitch 2. Reality is built on something invisible. Here's where the story stops being about a scientific mystery and starts being about something more fundamental, something about the nature of reality itself. Modern cosmologists can simulate the universe. Using our best understanding of physics, gravity, and the initial conditions after the Big Bang, they can run computer models that start from the earliest moments of cosmic history and fast forward through billions of years of evolution to see what kind of universe emerges. When they run these simulations without dark matter, the universe they get looks nothing like the one we live in. Galaxies don't form properly. The large-scale structure of the cosmos, the vast cosmic web of filaments and clusters and voids that organizes matter across hundreds of millions of light years, doesn't emerge. Instead, matter distributes itself too uniformly. Structures are too small, too poorly organized, too smoothly spread out to produce the galaxies and clusters we observe. The universe in those simulations is essentially empty, featureless, structureless, lifeless. When they add dark matter, everything changes. Suddenly, the simulations match reality with remarkable precision. Galaxies form in the right places. Clusters assemble at the right scales. The cosmic web, those vast filaments of matter stretching across the universe, appears, matching the actual structure of the observable cosmos almost exactly. Dark matter wasn't just present during the formation of cosmic structure, it was the framework around which all visible matter organized itself. Here's the mechanism. In the early universe, dark matter, which doesn't interact electromagnetically and therefore didn't participate in the pressure waves of ordinary matter and radiation, began clumping under gravity first. It formed invisible halos, and those halos acted as gravitational seeds, the scaffolding around which ordinary matter, gas, eventually stars, eventually galaxies, slowly gathered. Without that invisible scaffolding, ordinary matter couldn't have organized into anything recognizable. Every galaxy is sitting inside a dark matter halo. Every star formed because dark matter created the gravitational environment that allowed gas to collapse. Every planet, including Earth, every ocean and mountain and living thing. All of it exists because of something we cannot see, cannot touch, and cannot identify. Dark matter is not a footnote in the story of the universe. Dark matter is the story of the universe. Ordinary matter, stars, planets, gas, dust, every atom of everything you've ever seen or touched is the decoration, the surface detail, the thin visible layer painted onto an invisible structure that we don't understand. The universe belongs to dark matter. We are just living inside it.